Hello, and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. I'm Kim Dami in Seoul. As the chaos surrounding President Yoon Suk-yeol's arrest warrant continues with the security team thwarting its execution, the investigation team emphasized that these actions will be considered an obstruction of public duties. Our An Sung-jae reports.
The head of the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials pledged to execute the arrest warrant for President Yoon by January 6th, which is the deadline for the execution of the arrest warrant designated by the issuing court. On Wednesday, Chief Prosecutor Oh Dong-un urged the Presidential Security Service to comply with the execution.
We will be strictly enforcing the law, but we will also remain polite, so please respond to our requests.
When asked whether he had sent a warning to the Presidential Security Service, Oh replied that he had done so on Tuesday and emphasized that if officers persist, they may be arrested for the special obstruction of public duty and abuse of authority. He specifically highlighted that he already regards moves such as setting up barricades or locking gates as obstruction of public duty. Oh stated that the CIO will be taking the proper steps regardless of any opposition and will exercise its authority in line with principles to move forward with arrests and search warrants. However, President Yoon's lawyer Yoon Gap-keun claimed on Wednesday that these warrants are an infringement of judicial trust. He stated that the judge from the Seoul Western District Court, who specified that an arrest warrant cannot be restricted due to military or official duty confidentiality, has no authority to do so, as nowhere on the Criminal Procedure Act does it mention this, and further pressed for the penalization and exclusion of the judge from taking charge of the case. This comes as President Yoon's legal counsel filed for an interim injunction request asking for a competence dispute and suspension of effect, which Oh argues is not due process. Following President Yoon's short-lived imposition of martial law on December 3rd, South Korea has been undergoing political chaos, especially after the arrest warrant was issued. This unprecedented and first-time ever event may lead Yoon to become the first sitting president to face arrest, though his legal team has reiterated that the warrant is illegal and invalid. The exact timing of any actual detention remains unclear, and it is allegedly being discussed with the Joint Investigation Headquarters. Though they can request an extension, investigators have until next Monday to execute the warrant. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
And amid political clashes following President Yoon's martial law decree, senior presidential secretaries tendered their resignations en masse. Now, acting President Choi Sang-mok has not accepted their resignations. Our correspondent Oh Si-young has the details.
Acting President Choi Sang-mok rejected the collective resignations by senior presidential secretaries on New Year's Day, emphasizing the need to restore stability to the nation following President Yoon Suk-yeol's imposition of martial law on December 3rd. The presidential office conveyed to the media on Wednesday that all senior secretaries, including Chief of Staff Chung Jin-seok, Policy Chief of Staff Sung Tae-yoon, and National Security Advisor Shin Won-sik tendered their resignations to the acting president. As Yoon's presidential powers were suspended after the National Assembly voted to impeach him, his secretaries have been reporting to Choi instead, who himself was a senior economics affairs secretary to Yoon. The Finance Ministry issued a statement saying the acting president believes this is a time when all efforts must be focused on stabilizing livelihoods and ensuring the smooth administration of state affairs. He has no plans to accept the resignations. The mass resignations of Yoon's staff come a day after Choi decided to partially meet the opposition Democratic Party's demand to fill vacancies on the Constitutional Court. The move is expected to speed up the impeachment trial proceedings against President Yoon. As the impeachment case proceeds, political forces have been locking horns over the 3 empty seats on the Constitutional Court bench. With the 2/3 majority rule, the 6 justices currently on the panel would have to vote unanimously to impeach the embattled leader. While the ruling party has insisted an acting president does not have the authority to appoint Constitutional Court justices, the opposition has called for a full 9-member panel.
As of Tuesday, the court said it is still discussing the feasibility of issuing rulings with its current 6-member bench. It said that it urges the speedy filling of its 3 judicial vacancies, citing an unusually high number of urgent cases. It emphasized that the court needs to function properly in order for state governance to stabilize.
Under pressure from all sides, Choi took a decisive step, appointing 2 judges recommended in a bill passed by the National Assembly last Thursday. But he deferred the appointment of Ma Eun-yeol, nominated by the main opposition, calling for a bipartisan agreement. A senior government official said acting President Choi was aiming for a balanced composition on the Constitutional Court by appointing one nominee each from the ruling and opposition parties. However, the presidential office and the People Power Party expressed regret over Choi's decision, as they maintain that judicial appointments should not be made by an interim leader. Choi's move appears to have been made at appeasing the majority-holding opposition to restore stability to state affairs and the economy. The Democratic Party unilaterally impeached previous acting President Han Duck-soo for not approving new constitutional justices until the two parties had reached an agreement. Although one position remains vacant, the court now has 8 justices, the same number as it did when it ruled to impeach former President Park Geun-hye in 2017. 오수영, Arirang News.
Also on New Year's Day here in South Korea, acting President Choi Sang-mok pledged that the government would do its utmost to help stabilize the people's livelihoods and the country's national security amid various domestic and global challenges. Choi visited a Marine base on Wednesday to ensure the country's military readiness. He emphasized the threats posed by North Korea's recent provocations and military cooperation with Russia, highlighting the importance of maintaining the South Korea-U.S. alliance and advancing security cooperation with Japan. He thanked and encouraged the servicemen for securing the nation and for making Koreans feel safe in their daily lives. Also in the morning, Choi paid his respects at the Seoul National Cemetery, where those who served South Korea lie at rest. In the visitor's book, he wrote, "Together with the people, we will dedicate all our efforts to stabilizing livelihoods and the administration of state affairs." Now, all 179 victims of the deadly plane crash here in South Korea have been identified as of Wednesday morning. Following the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters confirmation, funeral services have also begun. Bereaved families also visited the plane crash site for the first time since the tragic incident to mourn their loved ones. The country's transport ministries are now analyzing the voice communications extracted from the cockpit voice recorder recovered from the wreckage, and said that process should take about 2 days. Now, the flight data recorder will be sent to the U.S. for analysis. South Korea's exports set a new annual record last year on strong semiconductor shipments. According to the Trade Ministry on Wednesday, outbound shipments reached nearly $684 billion last year. Exports of chips jumped almost 44% year-on-year to nearly $142 billion. Such a solid performance from semiconductors was driven by strong demand for premium products like high-bandwidth memory chips. Exports to the U.S. reached a new annual high for the 7th straight year, growing over 10.5%. Imports, meanwhile, fell 1.6% to $632 billion, creating a trade surplus of almost $52 billion. That's all we have for this evening. Arirang News will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.